the long-term goal of Ego Death Capital is we want to invest in the best entrepreneurs that are building applications on top of Bitcoin. So the updates of Taproot and then the announced white paper of like Taro on Lightning, we feel like there's going to be this huge wave of application development on top of Bitcoin, and that those applications will bring an abundant future to the world, and those will have a broad-ranging impact to people everywhere. We think, like leaning on one of our advisors, Lynn Alden, those applications in the Bitcoin space or investment space will have a lower speculation, higher utility. And we're like incredibly excited about that. I think in my Bitcoin story of like coming into it, I was first introduced to it. I mean, pretty early on of seeing the transactions that I think as like Vice had an article on like the Silk Road in like the early 2010, like 2013 or something like that. And I think like from that standpoint, it was like fascinating of, oh, this thing is being used and on a website through Tor. And that was interesting. I didn't really dive into like buying any of it until 2017. And like that height. And then I didn't really look at like the impact that it would have into my life and my kids' lives until we have the pandemic in like 2020s, and looking at the impact of like running a business that requires constant purchasing of goods and seeing the price of those goods go up by 30%, seeing the monetary supply increase by 40%. And then looking at like that value of that business as it impacted my kids and my future of like, well, what is the most powerful thing that I could be using? And that I think that the light bulb of the Bitcoin light bulb like truly went off.
Yeah, cool. And then, sorry, Andy, before we get to you, why those pieces of technology? Like, why Taro on Lightning? Like, what is it that you're thinking that might enable?
So we think our basic thesis is up until this point, you couldn't really build massive applications on top of Bitcoin. You could do a number, like a lot of it has been peer-to-peer money, streaming of money, which the solutions have been, there's some incredible solutions that have been built to date. We think with the multi-sigs, with Taproot really enabling the freeing up of these like scaling solutions, and Taro allowing for tokenized economies, stable coins, and just the building blocks that can be built on top of that. We still don't think we'll actually know what that looks like for another probably 6 to 9 months. We think that this is the most exciting space to be in. And that if we look at like broader development in general, as we dive into alts and what's the problem with those altcoins, you realize that they've compromised on security and or decentralization for scalability. And that with these upgrades, Bitcoin is now the most scalable, the most secure, the most decentralized, and cheapest monetary and informational network in the world. And why wouldn't you want to bet on that with the impact that it can make on other people's lives?